We got to thank our sponsors, right? In your packet, once again, we have some phenomenal sponsors. Renaissance Downtowns. We may hear from Don Monty in a minute. National Grid, Engel Berman, AT&T. We heard from them this morning. PSEG, Long Island. We hear from them in a bit. Lyle Azarian Properties. So our platinum and gold sponsors. Let's give them a hand. Our silver sponsors, VHB, GPI, H2M, Simon Properties, Heartland Business Center, Mill Creek Residential, RXR, Southwest State Farm, and Torger Bartone, as well as over 40 bronze sponsors. Let's give a hand to all the rest of the sponsors that have made, 80 sponsors total that have made the Smart Growth Summit grow and keep the lights on for the movement, which is really exciting. We do have a board of directors for Vision Long Island. Actually, in your packet, there's a picture of all of them. They're a great group of folks, emotionally healthy. I'm glad to work for them. They're folks you should know. They're folks you may know. They're sponsors, they're supporters, they're speakers, they're guides. They're out there making smart growth happen. So if all the board members could please stand. All the Vision Long Island board members, please just stand for a second. Let's give them a hand. Judy Simoncic just joined us from Forcelli, also great firm. There's Judy. She just joined us. Thank you, Judy. And we've got other folks joining us soon. We're excited to be a growing organization. A board and an organization don't work without the staff. And this would not happen without the staff, because if it was up to me, this couldn't happen. Tuan Weber, where are you? Tuan, our assistant director. She's the glue in this organization. Alyssa Kyle, our design brain, architect, 15 years. You guys know her. She's right there. She's phenomenal. Chris Kyle, he's our guy who just gets almost anything done. Whatever we throw at him, he gets it done. Where's Chris? Where's Chris? There's Chris. Everybody knows Chris. He's just our office guy extraordinaire. And John Siebert recovered with us with Sandy, and now he's like recovering with Vision Long Island. Where's John Siebert? Where's John? He's somewhere. Great group of folks. We need to grow our team a little bit. We're tired, so that's where we need you guys to take it to the next level. We'll talk about that in a minute, but let's do some more business. So again, thank all the staff. Give them a hand for what they do. So I want to acknowledge some elected officials that are here, and one who has a schedule, and he's got to go. So, but he's been with us. We knew him as a Nassau County executive for many years and talked about cool downtowns, and we loved his presentations, and we're certainly carrying out a lot of those visions. But he won Congress. He did well for himself this year. Tom Suozzi, Congressman-elect. Let's give him a hand. Tom, we're going to be calling you on infrastructure, so definitely going to be meeting with you on some things you can do in Washington with us. All right. You'll do more than that. All right. Good luck, Tom. All right. We're going to hear from Phil Boyle from the New York State Senate. Let's give Phil a hand. We've got Todd Kaminsky joining us also from the New York State Senate. Chad Lupinacci. Earlier we had Jack Schneerman from the City of Long Beach. George Maragos, Comptroller, Nassau County. Laura Schaefer, Nassau County. Laura Curran, Nassau County. Is Laura still here? Where's Laura? Okay, Laura's here. Ellen Birnbaum, Nassau County. John Kennedy, Suffolk County Comptroller. Bridget Fleming, Suffolk County Legislator. We had Rich Schaefer with us from Town of Babylon Supervisor. Ed Romaine, Town of Brookhaven Supervisor. Ed Ambrosino from the Town of Hempstead. Erin King Sweeney, Town of Hempstead. Mark Cuthbertson joined us from the Town of Huntington. Angie Carpenter, and Supervisor Town of Islip. Steve Flotterin from the Town of Islip. We had Judy Bosworth, Supervisor Dina DiGiorgio, and Peter Zuckerman from the Town of North Hempstead. We had Tony McAgione from the Town of Oyster Bay, Supervisor Jay Schneiderman from the Town of Southampton, Sean Walters, Supervisor Town of Riverhead. We had Dennis Seary from the Village of Amityville, Ralph Ekstrom from Village of Farmingdale, Brian Hardy, Mayor Bob Kennedy from Freeport, George Martinez is with us, Deputy Mayor of Freeport, Gene Cylinder, Village of Great Neck Plaza, Wayne Hall will be joining us. Is Wayne here yet? Village of Hempstead, he'll be joining us in a bit. We have Morris Sperry, Village of Mastic Beach, Henry Tobin, Village of Northport, Lori Devlin, Village of Patchogue, Barbara Dono, Village of Plandom, Peter Cavallero, Village of Westbury, Bill Wise, Village of Westbury, and Joan Bowes, Village of Westbury. So, yeah, we had, and that's just a few. We had a whole lot of other folks. I'm going to stop there because we announced some of them earlier. So let's give a hand to all the elected officials that joined us today. It's over 70 coming and going. And if I missed somebody who's here and hasn't been announced yet today, 631-804-9128. And you have all texted me before, so I've been getting these texts. So it's good. So our elected officials are here with us. That's good news. Shh. Okay, so let's announce our dais. We've got a pretty awesome group here. Let's start with the Suffolk Chambers of Commerce, Gina Coletti. I almost can't see who's next to her. Oh my God, please duck down. Oh, Adrian Esposito, sorry. Citizens Campaign for the Environment. Thank you for joining us. Awesome. John Durso, Long Island Federation of Labor. Both members of our Long Island Lobby Coalition that we got to get back to Albany. We got a lot of stuff we got to do. Richie Kessel, who needs no introduction, member of Vision Board, but does so much for so many people. Richie, thank you. And we've got Ken Daly. We're going to hear from him in a minute, National Grid. Bob Shiner from H2M, long time, also the Huntington Chamber of Commerce, long time supporter of good infrastructure and small business. We got Scott Schoen from Long Island Business News. Long Island Business News is great. It's on all your seats. They are always covering the smart growth movement. Thank you, Scott, for what you do. So we got Michael Volz, PSEG. We're going to hear from him in a little bit. We already mentioned Phil Boyle. Already mentioned Bob Fonte, Suffolk Alliance of Chambers, Long Island Business Council, Vision Long Island. Boy, what don't you do, Bob? You're doing... Okay, that's enough. All right, let's keep moving on. Don Monte, Renaissance Downtowns, lead sponsor today. Chuck Davis, we're going to hear from him in a little bit as our featured speaker from Simon Properties. Patrick Lanahan from VHB. It's another one of our sponsors and supporters. Nick Halstead from Mill Creek Properties. A lot of creative work done in Mineola. I know he was in a panel before. Denise Carter, who is with GPI, excellent transportation engineering firm. I know you led a panel before on transportation opportunities. So that's good stuff. Let's give Denise a hand. Then people say, who's this guy? There's this guy who's standing, he's not from Long Island. Wait a second. Lou Marquette with Leyland Alliance. We're going to hear from him later in a panel on designing great places. Lou did the Stores Center in Connecticut. That's just awesome outside of UConn. And you got to see it to believe it. He's going to give a preview on it at 2 o'clock. Thanks for being here with us, Lou. Trudy Fitzsimmons, our co-chair of our board, and civic leader for many years, supporter in so many different ways. Thank you, Trudy. George Martinez, again, I guess I'm introducing you twice. You wear a lot of hats, George. Thank you for taking the time with us. Long Island Hispanic Chamber, Sustainable Business Association, Deputy Mayor, Village of Freeport. You got your own company. You got so many things going on. Neil Lewis, Sustainability Institute at Malloy. Our kind of environmental brain. We have the two environmental brains. We have Adrian on one side and Neil on the other, and they just constantly are giving us information, keeping us track. With all these developers in the room, it's like keeping us on track. You know, it's good, keep the balance. Francesca Carlo, Nassau Council of Chambers. So we got the Suffolk Chambers, the Nassau Chambers, and we mentioned Todd Kaminsky again, who's joining with us for lunch. So let's give a hand to all the dais members. So I'm not going to go any longer. In your packet, there's information on a youth summit. Where are all the youth? They're still back there? Where you got like 60, 70 of you guys still there? Yeah, shout out. All right. Let's give a hand to the youth summit that's done this for 9 years now. We had Amityville, Suffolk Community College, St. Joe's College, Gail Lamberta, Melissa Cunley, and the whole crew that came together to make that work today. We're going to have a youth summit at St. Joe's. The information's in your packet. We have our Smart Growth Awards in June. Information's in your packet. Our Long Island Lobby Day, which we need to go back to Albany. We've won some victories on some laws, but we have more to do. And our Complete Streets Summit on March 30th. All that information's in your packet. That's what's coming soon. Please be part of that. Now, I'm going to skip out of order and do one last thing before we get to opening remarks from Ken, Mike, and Phil Boyle. Shh. So we're having our 20th anniversary. Where's Tawan Weber? Tawan, where did you go? Uh-oh. We may skip this out of order. Okay. If anyone sees Tawan, someone tell me. And, oh, no. So that's not her. So, okay, we're going to go back. Let's do opening remarks, and then we'll come back to this one item. So let's hear from a man who helped us through Sandy, helped us through storms. This company's investing in infrastructure, really all over the place, places like Mastic Beach that we care about. And he's here to give us an opening message on where National Grid's going. So, Ken Daly, you've joined us before, and we're glad you're here again. Ken.
Thank you, Eric, and good afternoon. Really delighted to be here on behalf of National Grid. I've actually had the chance at several of the past events to come and speak to this audience. It really is an honor for me. I remember last time I was supposed to speak for 20 minutes, and Eric gave me a call that morning and said there had been a change in Senator Schumer's schedule and he was available. Could I cut my 20 minutes down to 2 minutes? This year he was smarter. He only scheduled me for 2 minutes on the front end, and then again called yesterday and said there's been a change in Senator Schumer's schedule. I thought he was going to cut me to 1 minute, but he actually doubled me now to about 4 or 5 minutes.
We love you, Ken. You're not Chuck Schumer.
Thank you. So I think I'm the slack variable here, but really delighted to be here. And we've done great work together with Vision. I think our best work was during the days of Sandy, and that was the first time I came and presented. And really what I wanted to just share with you is a few things that National Grid is doing that fits front and center with the same things that Vision is doing, and I think that many of you in this audience are working on. And the 5 things are infrastructure investment, economic development, job creation, and then the final 2, more and more relevant for our industry, and I think for your industry, is technology, and then shifting from fossil fuels now to clean energy. And if I could just ask the folks, I only have a few minutes, I promise, if I could just ask everyone, help out a little bit. But the 5 things, starts with infrastructure investment. So as part of our rate filing, and Vision was very, very supportive, we're announcing a 3-year, $3 billion investment program in Long Island and in New York City. And what that means for us is replacing the old gas pipes and putting in new gas pipes and converting more and more customers from oil to gas. And we're going to try to do it in a much smarter way, smart growth, very similar to Vision's mission. We're going to do it by doing what we call neighborhood expansion. Rather than going from home to home, go neighborhood to neighborhood. Second is economic development, specifically around low-income customers. Right now, the harsh reality is those customers who cannot afford to convert to natural gas are actually paying 50% more for their heating bills than all of us who've had the opportunity to convert. So one of our main economic development programs now is going to be the fund on the front end, the cost of the conversion, so we'll pay for the conversion, and then the customers, the low-income customers for many years thereafter, can benefit from the lower cost of natural gas. Third, thank you. Third is job creation. So important to economic development in any region is job creation. As part of our rate filing, we're announcing 382 new positions, again, here on the island and in New York City. And I mean really good positions: engineers, designers, architects, planners, project managers, and the men and women who you see out in the field. One of the programs we've just launched now in partnership with Farmingdale is the first ever gas academy in the United States. So the first group of students to go to a community college. Our first group of 12 students has just graduated, and I'm happy to report today that all 12 have been hired into National Grid. Thank you. And the final 2 points, and if I could just give the folks in the back one final plea, more so for the future speakers. Final 2 points, technology. Technology really will enable a successful Long Island. Our part of it is being much more technically competent on the energy side. Some of the investments we've made now is we've converted every one of our customers on Long Island to smart meters from the old manual pedestrian meters. Second, we've established our gas control center, the most advanced state-of-the-art gas control center in the country, right here. It's in Melville, Long Island, for the whole state of New York. Actually, our former head of the control center sitting here in the first row. And finally, we're introducing robotics. We're using robotics now in the field to replace and to repair the old gas mains. It allows us to reduce the cost by 90%, and it allows us to make the repairs while the gas is still flowing. But But everything I've covered so far is focused on natural gas, and although we believe it'll be vital for the next generation and beyond, we all now need to shift to clean energy, to get away from fossil fuels and to move to renewable energy. And I think when you think of National Grid, we think of ourselves now as a clean energy company. We're doing wind projects, we're doing solar projects. We may be the gas company, but we've actually done now more solar conversions than gas conversions in the last 2 years. So we are making that shift. And finally, today we're going to announce new projects here on Long Island. One in particular is around geothermal. For the areas that we cannot get the gas system to reach, we're going to bring geothermal to allow us to harness the Earth's energy so that our customers can use that for their energy needs, ideally into the next century. So with that, really my honor on behalf of National Grid. It's a great partnership between us and Vision and all of you, and we look forward to working together many, many years into the future in a clean energy and in a smart way. Thank you very much.
So, we had the opportunity to testify for these guys in a rate hike hearing, and the good news is no one likes rate hikes, but the rate hikes were tied to infrastructure investment, and they're tied to all the things that these guys do with Sandy and other things. So I don't know anything about rate hikes. I couldn't tell you anything about it, but you can attest to these guys reinvest in infrastructure and reinvest in Long Island, so that matters. So thanks again, Ken, for what you do. Thanks again. Let's one more hand to National Grid. Not to be outdone, we have a utility that has come into Long Island. They're new to Long Island in the last couple of years, and they have been pretty active out there, and particularly active in clean energy. So a man named Mike Volz. Where did you get that name, Mike? I don't know. He was our first speaker from PSCG a couple of years ago. We got him here for some quick opening remarks. Mike.
Good afternoon, everyone. PSCG Long Island is very pleased to be completing our third year. As Eric mentioned, we're new to Long Island. We've been here just now 3 years, and we're really trying to improve our service to customers. I have 4 areas I want to discuss. When we joined Long Island, we set up 4 key goals. We want to improve reliability, enhance customer service, improve our storm response, particularly after what happened at Hurricane Sandy, and then we want to support improvement of energy efficiency and renewable technologies. So we're dedicated to improving reliability by making investments in infrastructure. You'll see significant amount of capital investments. We got a lot of money from FEMA after Sandy, and we're investing in hardening our system, improving infrastructure, and enhanced tree trimming practices to improve the reliability of the electric system. We are committed to enhancing customer service. We're redesigning our systems to make it easier for customers to do business with us. An example of that we just announced, we're the first company in the country, electric utility. You want to pay your electric bill, you can send a light bulb emoji and it'll pay your electric bill in full. So we make it very easy for you. We've helped hundreds of companies grow and expand on Long Island by offering financial incentives for energy efficiency and renewables. We spend about $85 million a year helping our customers to improve the efficiency of their business. And lastly, we're excited about the future, and we pledge to continue to support businesses and communities on Long Island to support sustainable growth. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. No, it's great to see the support of clean energy, and it's great to see them hands-on and connecting to local communities, and that's what matters out here. So that's why I wanted to hear from both our utilities. So let's pivot to Albany for a second. It's never an exciting topic sometimes to talk about Albany, but they do have resources that should come to Long Island. We should get our fair share. This man I'm about to introduce has been on the Small Business Committee. He's been strident in, I think he's on the Regional Economic Development Council now. He's been strident in pulling together infrastructure dollars and really being connected to small businesses and main streets. And we saw him post-Sandy do some fantastic work in his community. So we've really always enjoyed a relationship with Phil Boyle. He's here to give us some just quick remarks on what we can hope to see in Albany. Phil.
Thank you, Eric. And very briefly, I just want to congratulate you, Envision Long Island, and the sponsors, everyone for coming. I was at the first one 15 years ago, and the size is it's really a microcosm of the growth we've seen on Long Island in smart growth and transit-oriented development. It's very exciting. As Eric mentioned, we have a couple of things going on in Albany. One of the things, my colleague, Senator Jack Martins, was a sponsor of the bill. I'm hoping to take it up myself, which would create a small business fund, helping small business people to put money aside with tax benefits for those times that are in economic downturn. They might need some extra money. We saw 170,000 small businesses be eliminated after the economic downturn. We never want to see that again. We want to make sure they're protected, and also infrastructure. Regardless how you feel about what happened on the national level and the state level, both parties support infrastructure. And I can tell you, I worked with my Senator Todd Kaminsky and Senator-elect Elaine Phillips. We're looking forward to her being up in Albany to get money for infrastructure needs on Long Island. And we're going to work together with the governor to get it done in the coming year. And I could just say parenthetically that I'm a little ticked off at Eric because the smart growth idea has worked so well. 15 years ago, my wife and I used to be able to go on a weekend and say, hey, spontaneously, let's go out to dinner. Now in Bayshore and Patchogue, we need to call on Monday or Tuesday to get a dinner reservation. It's doing so well. Thank you very much.
It's like a nice problem to have, a parking problem in your village, you know? No, thank you. So is Ms. Weber here? Yes. Okay. Trudy Fitzsimmons and Bob Fonte, I bring up our co-chairs. There's a card in your packet. We are the worst self-promoters. We're awful. I would fire me if I was in charge of me as an executive director. We never toot our own horn. We try to be humble. I don't know, there's a card in your packet. About our 20th anniversary. I'm going to leave it to Tawan to describe it because I'll butcher it if I keep talking. So, Tawan Weber, our assistant director, 40 under 40, I think you're this year, on Business News. So give her a hand for that. But Tawan, you want to say something about this upcoming thing we're doing?
Thank you, everyone. First of all, thank you all for coming out. Of course, your continued support for us to make it to 20 years is just amazing. And to be able to still fill this room and to wrap around to the back of the L over there, I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. And it's all because of your dedication to our movement and to smart growth. And so we're going to have something that's celebrating our 20th anniversary. It's really not about vision, because Eric's right, we're horrible at promoting ourselves. But it's more so about celebrating the movement and the accomplishments and the things that have happened over the last 20 years. And a lot of that has been possible because of all of you in the room. So we want to ask everyone, if you see in your packets, there's a little card that's up there, just to fill it out if you're interested in participating in it. If you want to sponsor, we're always open to that. Promoting the event or just helping with more details, what your ideas are, some of the things you think we should celebrate. We would love to have your input. So there's a card in there, and on your tables, there's a little silver bucket that's there, a little ice bucket kind of thing there. We want you to fill it out and drop it in there, and we'll come around and pick them up, because we couldn't have gotten to 20 years without you, and so your ideas are so important to us. Giving us that information, we'll follow up with you and make sure that you're a part of this celebration and our next 20 years. Thank you all again for coming out.
Thanks, Tawan. So you fill that card out? You guys got it, right? Takes a second. We'll collect them. I don't know what we're doing. How are we collecting them? Leave them on the table? Leave them on the table? And the wait staff won't take them, right? Don't take those cards. We need them. Okay. So 20th anniversary. Please participate. We never do these things. There'll probably be a dinner of some kind. They'll probably be more expensive than anything you want to pay. But that's what you need to do to keep going and function properly. So we're going to hit community updates now. Now, there's a theme that's emerged in this election. I started talking about it earlier today. Stuff in Washington is difficult and divisive. Stuff on the region isn't trusted. Sometimes that toxicity filters down to us, and we're warring with each other, and we don't even know why. Right? It probably happened this election with different people in different families, different communities, like, let's take all that somewhere else. We don't need that. We need to heal and fuel our communities and redevelop our communities with the trust that we build with each other through projects like what we do, through community initiatives like the people in this room do, through the challenge of managing places like a lot of our elected officials do. So that's what we need to do. We do the easy stuff. No disrespect to Farmingdale, but that's now easy, right? You know, Mineola's now easy. You know, all these places that are happening. But then there's the stuff that everybody says, that ain't ever gonna happen. If I had $1 for every time someone told me, that's, Alexander, in your lifetime, Hicksville will never be revitalized. They've been trying since '69, it's not happening. I'd love to bring up for just 1 minute Lionel Chitty from the Hicksville Chamber to give us a very brief update on some things that are happening. We had 500 people at a meeting the other day, and something's happening. Lionel, please join us.
Eric hit it right on the head. Never, never, ever, ever will anything change in Hicksville. Since 1969, people have talked about the same area, the same problems, the same concerns. We reached out and we said, what's the problem? There's too much going on, too many organizations, it's going to be too hard. 6.5, 7 years later, we went to the town, we gave them a proposal. It wasn't pie in the sky, it made sense. And we said, we don't expect the entire thing to be done, but whatever we can get done. We got the community on board, we got them listening. When we had 500 people there, somebody said, it's an ongoing fairy tale, like a never-ending story. Now, we're hoping that Hicksville will be a great place to live, work, and play, and everybody will have a happy ending. Thank you so very much, everyone.
Thank you, Lionel. So there's another place, Kings Park. All right, I see. So Kings Park, that was a place where people told us, hey, Alexander, not only is Kings Park downtown not going to be revitalized and the town of Smithtown's not going to do anything, but if you guys get involved, they're going to kick you out. So in 2004, we got involved, and we brought in some of the best planners we thought in the world, and guess what happened? We got kicked out. The community just said, you know what, we don't want new urbanism, smart growth, big buildings, we don't want all this stuff. Take these ideas, take them somewhere else. And so now 10 years later, 11, 12 years later, the Civic in the Chamber reached out to us, and Linda Henninger had to leave from the Civic, but Tony Tanzi from the Kings Park Chamber is here, and he'll give us a quick update on how's Kings Park going.
Thank you, Eric. First and foremost, I want to thank Eric and Vision Long Island for calling me last night at 8 o'clock and saying that I had to say something today to a room full of people that don't know me and really have no interest in hearing what I have to say. But anyway, about a year and a half ago, we launched this initiative to join forces with the Civic Association in Kings Park because we had several meetings with different levels of government. And the hardest part for them is to, well, in Smithtown, which I know we're not well represented today, it is affectionately known outside of Smithtown as the land of no, and we wanted to figure out how are we going to get something to happen, because I've come to several of these smart growth summits, and it's wonderful to see what's going on everywhere else. But there are literally dozens and dozens of downtowns that are yearning to have the fortune that the Patchoggs and the Huntingtons and the Port Chefs and the Northports have. And the hard part is, how do you get that started? How do you get these little communities to get behind it? And we started a grassroots effort where we got with every head of every organization and we said, come help us. Let's build this from the ground up. Let's try and create a vision plan that's from the people, for the people. And I'm proud to say that we brought Vision in almost exactly a year ago. We've had several town meetings, literally hundreds and hundreds of residents attending, and all positive stuff. And at the end, 2 weeks ago, we presented a vision plan to our town board and asked them to adopt it so that we can hopefully one day become one of these communities that has a thriving downtown. And I thank Eric for that, because you guys have been wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. And look, we could go on for a long time with communities that are tough and where people are outsiders. Outsiders are generally the most negative. I almost call them regional NIMBYs. They don't want anything to happen somewhere else, not necessarily in their community. We're starting to see a rise in that. Now, this next community in downtown Hempstead is another place where people said, you know what, there was an urban renewal plan years ago, but when they built the malls and they took the energy out of the downtown, it never recovered, it's never going to recover, nothing's ever going to happen there, Alexander. Well, we didn't take this on personally as Vision, but a developer we work closely with has made this really the center of his agenda. He's worked with the community collaboratively, and he's done some tough stuff, and we applaud him for it. But he's got a quick announcement. Don Monte, Renaissance Downtowns.
Thanks, Eric. And I guess I've often said that pioneers are measured by the number of arrows in their back. And today I was thinking of coming without my shirt on and turning around and showing you the scars, but my staff advised me otherwise. But really, first I would like to really thank Eric, Tawan, Alyssa, and the entire Vision Long Island staff for 20 years of amazing, amazing work. And Eric has often asked me, Don, please keep it brief. And you know what? I've never been good at following directions, and that's probably why I haven't been up here for 2 years. But I promise today to hold that promise. And what I think I also want to do is really thank, because behind everything that we do, I want to thank my co-workers who honestly have done such an amazing job, and you're going to hear something about this a little bit later. So Renaissance, please stand up. Really, you deserve it. So I've had some knocks. People have said, okay, this guy's a, smooth talker. He gets entitlements, but when's he putting a shovel in the ground? And you know what? This is not easy stuff. And the reason I say it is because I know many of my colleagues have gone through the same thing, but it is getting easier. And what I'd like to say today is that I'm involved finally, after all the hard work that not only I and my coworkers have put in, but many of our consultants, I can proudly say that November 30th to January 16th will represent 5 groundbreakings for Renaissance Downtowns. And one of the most significant of those is in the village of Hempstead, where on December 9th, a week from today, we will finally celebrate something that has been a long time coming. And I thank Mayor Hall. I don't know if he's here, but without the mayor and without his administration, without political will, nothing happens. With political will, anything can happen. So I'm going to end it on a light note. Tawan asked me to come to the 40 under 40 here at Crest Hollow in January. And I said, that's great, Tawan, because in February I'm turning 40. So why didn't you ask me sooner? Thank you.
Anything can happen when Don speaks, so let's give him a hand. We're looking forward to that groundbreaking. It's not just good for his company, it's great for the community, and it's certainly, again, we're changing the narrative. We're changing the tide. We can't just do the easy stuff. We can now do the tough stuff. And there's no reason to say no. So now there's something that this one project, this next project, and it really leads into our featured speaker, is a project that, again, if you were to, you couldn't even invent this. Two major mall developers and a community on one side of one mall developer fighting a mall project for I don't know how many years, 15 years? I mean, 20 years. So I'm looking at Todd Fabricant, and I'm looking at Kevin Ryan, and I'm looking at Howard Avatine. I see Pat Halpin there too. Four of the guys working directly with the community, fighting the mall. And for like a smart growth group like us, like, wow, you guys are fighting the mall. That's awesome. You know, like we're, all of our grassroots people are like, yeah, we don't want malls. We want downtowns, you know. So that was the beginning of our movement. We just were in awe of these guys. We're like hundreds of people turn out, petitions, letters. They knock down referendums. I mean, they're just a phenomenal team. But we just thought, okay, it's just going to sit. Nothing's going to happen out of that, right? It's just going to be another battle that never goes anywhere. Well, these guys started to change the narrative, and now we have our featured speaker in Chuck Davis, who has many years' experience in mixed-use development, design professional by trade. He's spent a lot of time working with the community on Long Island and with his team, VHB, on the team and other folks. He brought DPZ in, Duany Plater-Zyberg, and Andres Duany did a lot better in this setting than in Kings Park, you know. They really laid the groundwork for change there. And we're going to hear from Chuck Davis right now about his vision and how we're getting a mixed-use development instead of a mall. Chuck Davis.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Boy, great crowd today. Yeah, it's been a very long, patient process for this little 94-acre piece of property in corner of Syosset next to Jericho along the Long Island Expressway. Got a little bit of a checkered past, former landfill federal Superfund site delisted and former Cerro Wire factory site that has been delisted. It's not at a train station, which a lot of the new urbanist models typically start from there. It was not an impetus of local government to try to revitalize. And it's an area that obviously, as Eric was just mentioning, has a storied past of the community's expectations about what would and would not be a comfortable neighbor next door. Simon and Castagna are long-term owners of properties here on Long Island. And we've made, obviously, quite a bit of investment of our own assets. We have a strong belief in Long Island, not only in the properties and the customers here, but on this project, the vast majority of our resources in analyzing, looking at what we can and can't do, trying to advance this project through a community are Long Island folks. And in my experience, in my history, prior to development, I used to run a redevelopment agency. I've been on the design side. Unless you get in touch with the people who are directly affected, you're going to spin your wheels and you're going to get kicked out. What I can say is there are no two redevelopment projects like this that are alike. There are no cookie cutters. There are no things you just drop in. Everything is customized. Everything is being sensitive to the folks that you are responsive to, whether or not they be the government, whether or not they be legislative jurisdictions, whether or not they be the state or the feds on environmental issues, whether or not they be just in design constraints. In our case, Long Island Railroad and state DOT. The list goes on and on. This is not for the faint of the heart, and it's not for the impatient. I think our sense is it's probably a 5 to 10 year effort still to go forward, complete through the entitlement process, complete a draft EIS, go through subdivision process, go through all the remediation, site work, buildings, multi-year home building process out there just to see the vision we're proposing realized. But we're in it for the long haul, and Simon is committed, and Castagna is committed to Long Island and the betterment of a great market, great location. This is not the first time Simon's ever done any type of a mixed use. Matter of fact, we're opening next year a project Shops at Clear Fork in Fort Worth that's in a mixed use environment. We have a large project, the Domain in Austin, that is part of a larger, more substantive mixed-use arrangement, and we have several across North America as well, too. Castagna is actually working one on upstate in New York, and obviously they have many properties in Garden City, as well as the Americana at Manhasset, which is a wonderful shopping experience. So I think from our perspective is you have to listen, you have to be patient. We have some good guides in our neighbors, and we've trusted them, and we look forward to moving forward. So at 2 o'clock, we're going to do a deep dive into taking a look at Syosset Park, how we evolved to the plan and what the plan is, and getting in a little bit of the design detail, and really kind of talking through the soup to nuts of how we've taken it to this point. Thank you.
Let's give a hand for Chuck Davis, who really has put his investment behind doing something different. I mean, changing the business model and doing the tough stuff and working with the community the way Long Islanders need, right? We need that. And it's not easy. And some people walk away. So, Chuck, thank you for doing that. Means a lot and spending time today. So if you want to get, the good news is, how many people have liked the workshops today? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. All right, so just about everybody has enjoyed what we put out there today. 136 speakers, 20 workshops. In some ways, no disrespect to the others, we've saved some of the best and most provocative for last. We wanted a whole slew of development options to end the day with what's really happening on Long Island. So, what are we going to hear? Major redevelopment projects from Frank Haftel and Garvey's Point. They've got a groundbreaking on Tuesday. We heard that from Reggie Spinello. So let's give a hand to Garvey's Point. I don't know if Frank's here yet. Woo! It's finally done there. Those guys are. RXR. They're working hard to get that done. So Tuesday is groundbreaking day for Garvey's Point. We're going to hear from Don Monte. He may go into more detail as to what those 5 projects are that are breaking ground. Maybe? Don? Yes? All right. Bob Coughlin and Tritech. Where is Ronkonkoma Hub? We're going to hear from Tritech and where that is. We also heard this morning from Angie Carpenter, and David, you weren't there yet, but Angie was here this morning saying January 4th, something's happening. We're moving down the field on Heartland. You'll give an update on that. Let's give a hand to David Walkoff at Heartland, who's here on the dais with us, and he'll be presenting in a little bit. David, thank you. So that's just across the way. Designing Great Places, Syosset Park. You hear from Charles Davis, his whole team. Designing Great Places 2. We're leaving Long Island for a second. I know we love Long Island, but we're going to learn about White Plains. Sarah from Parsons is going to give an update on White Plains, what's happening out there. And we're going to hear again from Lou Marquette from Stores Center, so stick around for that. We're also going to hear from Sal Coco from BHC Architects and how Designing Great Places gets done. And then, and I'll end with this, I gave a pitch this morning about regional planning. Actually, I asked this question. It was a meeting in the city on November 17th by regional planning folks, and not Regional Planning Board. They're great, John Cameron, his whole crew. But they were trying to weaken local zoning. They're trying to say, you know what, we need to less home rule and messy, all these little governments. We got to consolidate them all. And you know how well that plays. I mean, it just doesn't play too well. But anyway, they had a meeting in the city. Was anyone invited? Raise your hand if you were invited November 17th to a meeting in Manhattan to talk about land use and zoning. Now, no one was invited this morning, so it just was one of those oddball things. We weren't invited, but we heard about it. We have a letter. I'm not going to pick on the group, but the point is the concept, in our view, doesn't really work. And I think we've proven today, and we've proven in this movement, that bottom-up works. As painful as it is, as tough as it is, as sometimes costly as it is, and you're going through it and you're like, oh, why am I doing this? I've done this for 20 years. Sometimes I ask, why the hell am I doing this? The results are there, guys. We are making progress, and we got lots of great stuff ahead. And so I wanted to end the day with looking through some of these new projects coming. And I wanted to have a robust conversation with some emotionally healthy people, not me, but the people in the region, in this regional partnership panel. I never do these panels, but I'm doing a panel with some really awesome people like Larry Levy from George Tunis and Kristen Jarnigan and Randy Dresner from Island Harvest, some real smart folks that are going to tell me how to do regional planning. We may call it something different, regional partnerships, 2.0, rebrand it, whatever. We need regional goals. We need to work together, but we got to do it from the bottom up. That's been our message for many years. We can learn how to do our work better. So with that, I'm going to end. I'm going to close out. Have some great networking and continue on. Don't leave, because we've got a great program ahead tonight, and I'm sure we'll call on you moving forward. So thank you for being there, and thank you for the work you do.